Hi, I'm Sarah Timmer Harvey, and today for Jill, I'm going to read an excerpt of my translation of Jente Posthuma's novel, What I'd Rather Not Think About. Originally published in the Netherlands as Waar ik liever niet aan denk in May 2020, What I'd Rather Not Think About was recently shortlisted for the European Union Prize for Literature. It's the story of fraternal twins who, as children, grow up believing that their bond is unbreakable. However, as they head towards adulthood on divergent life paths, they discover more difference than similarities, more conflict than harmony. And when the elder twin decides to take his own life, his sister must learn what it means to navigate the world without the love and influence of the person she considered her other half. It's an absolutely brilliant book, and I can't wait to share it with you. But before I start reading, I'm going to turn the camera over to Jente, who will introduce herself to you, share a little bit more about her writing, and read a short excerpt in the original Dutch.
Hi, I'm Jente Posthuma. I'm a Dutch writer. I live in Amsterdam. I published 2 novels so far. The first is called Mensen zonder uitstraling, People Without Charisma. It's this one. I'm sorry, I tried to get the price tag off, but it's too stuck. People without charisma are the worst people that exist. They're even worse than ugly people. That's what the mother of the main character in the book says. It's not my personal opinion. The book I'm going to read from is What I'd Rather Not Think About. It's my second novel. Waar ik liever niet aan denk is the Dutch title. It's about a woman who grieves the loss of her twin brother. He took his own life. And it's about her loneliness. It's about the inability to connect to others. And it's about many other things. I made a list of them. I'm going to read it real quick, and then I'm going to read from the book. It's about falling, Bernie Madoff, the Twin Towers, pigs, vulvas, New York, the Holocaust, sweaters, Donald Trump, Survivor, earthquakes, rain, space, salami, the word worth, Donald Duck, parakeets, Osho, Joseph Mengele, sweat lodge ceremonies, Thai curry. It's about the age you really become an adult, about dead bodies that are dressed up for a party. And it's about talking to a closed door. Ik voerde de eenden en naast me stonden een man en een vrouw hetzelfde te doen, ieder met een kind. Ze babbelden wat over het weer. Ik wist niet wat ik moest zeggen, het was druilerig weer. De vrouw zei, als ik naar die eendjes kijk, zie ik eigenlijk alleen maar lekkere eendenboutjes. Ah, dacht ik. En ik zei, een eindje verder staan nog een paar ganzen, lekker voor de kerst. Nou, zei de vrouw, ganzen vind ik dan weer zo. Nee, dat kun je echt niet maken. Ze keek me geschrokken aan. De man zei niets. De kinderen gooiden stilletjes de laatste broodresten in het water. Op een bankje in het park vertelde ik mijn broer over de vrouw die wel eenden, maar geen ganzen at. Van mijn lege broodzak maakte ik een kleine bal. Al mijn pogingen tot een oppervlakkig gesprek eindigen in ongemakkelijkheid, zei ik. Ik heb het talent voor het aansnijden van pijnlijke onderwerpen. Als je eenden voert, gaan ze elkaar groepsverkrachten, zei mijn broer. Hij had een keer gelezen over mannetjeseenden en wat ze doen als ze zich vervelen. Laatst had ik het met de fietsenmaker over het weer, zei ik, en toen kwam het gesprek als vanzelf op de kinderen die hij niet meer zag, omdat zijn ex-vrouw met ze naar Ibiza was verhuisd, waar het altijd zonnig is. En toen wist ik niet meer wat ik moest zeggen. Je moet dooddoeners gebruiken, zei hij. Daar zijn ze voor. Lange tijd dacht ik dat het gebruik van clichés wees op een gebrek aan fantasie en begreep ik niet dat het formules waren waarmee je mensen op veilige afstand hield. Jouw talent is geen talent, maar een gebrek, zei mijn broer. Je kunt geen afstand bewaren. Eenmaal thuis las ik op een website voor eendenliefhebbers dat verkrachting een natuurlijke voortplantingsstrategie van eenden is. Verkrachting is bij eenden geen agressieve daad, schreef een deskundige. En ze doen het ook niet omdat ze niets beters kunnen verzinnen. In die tijd, lang voordat ik Leo ontmoette, overlegden we over onze toekomst alsof het een gezamenlijk knutselproject was, dat we alleen nog maar hoefden uit te voeren. Ik wenste een niet-competitieve echtgenoot die mijn aanwezigheid in zijn leven een verrijking vond. Mijn broer lachte hard om het woord verrijking. Hij hoopte op een man met zachte handen en een conflictvermijdend karakter. Ze zouden wonen in een huis aan het water. Ik bedacht een klein meer met een steiger voor hem, met naaldbomen langs de oever, waar de man met de zachte handen in de winter lichtjes in hing. En ik wenste hem sneeuw, dikke schapenvachten en kabeltruien toe. Ik wilde dat het meer in New Hampshire lag. Ik had net een boek van John Irving gelezen. En dat het huis een buitenhuis was dat we deelden. Mijn broer en ik. Zijn conflictvermijdende en mijn niet-competitieve man. Als we niet in New York waren, dan waren we daar. Ergens op dat punt in het overleg liepen we meestal vast. Omdat mijn broer zei dat hij best van naaldbomen hield, maar met water eigenlijk een zee bedoelde met zeepaardjes erin. En of ik wist dat bij zeepaardjes de mannetjes de jongen uitbroeden. Al gauw wist ik precies hoe zeepaardjes paren. Maar wat mijn broer met zijn leven wilde, snapte ik niet. This is the book. Thanks for listening.
So now I'm going to read my translation of the same excerpt. I was feeding the ducks, and beside me, a man and a woman were doing the same thing, each with a child. They were chatting about the weather. I didn't know what I should say. The weather was dreary. When I look at those ducks, all I see are delicious duck legs, said the woman. Ah, I thought, then said, and look at those geese over there. They're perfect for Christmas. Well, said the woman, I happen to think geese are... No, you really can't talk about them like that. She looked at me, apparently shocked. The man said nothing. The children silently threw the rest of their bread into the water. Sitting on a bench in the park, I told my brother about the woman who would eat a duck, but not a goose. I made a little ball out of the empty bread bag. All my attempts at superficial conversation end awkwardly, I said. I have a gift for broaching painful topics. When you feed ducks, they start gang raping each other, said my brother. He'd once read something about male ducks and the things they get up to when they're bored. The other day, I was talking to the bike mechanic about the weather, I said, and naturally, the conversation turned to the children he no longer saw because his ex-wife had moved to Ibiza where it was always sunny. And then I didn't know what to say. You have to use cliches, said my brother. That's what they're for. For the longest time, I thought that the use of cliches signaled a lack of imagination. I didn't understand they were formulas you could use to keep other people at a safe distance. Your gift isn't a gift, it's a defect, said my brother. You can't keep your distance. Once I was home, I read on a website for duck enthusiasts that rape was a natural reproductive strategy. For ducks, rape isn't a violent act, an expert had written, nor is it something they do for lack of a better alternative. At the bar where my brother worked, a group of friends quickly formed. We're kind of like family, he said. But I'm your family, I said. He told me they were his queer family and that I had nothing to worry about. As for myself, I was able to form a duo, but could never get any further than that. I enjoyed being so naturally present in a friend's life that I'd become almost like a piece of furniture in their house. I needed to feel this as though I were a natural presence in the world. Aside from my brother, I've only had that feeling with a handful of people, and eventually it's always ended. To be a natural presence, you shouldn't take up too much space, which I always found easy at the beginning of a friendship. It felt nice to reshape myself into precisely the right format, until the moment came, usually once I shrunk to my minimum size, that I got moody. I always have to be careful what I say around you, my friends would say, or else I would suddenly lose my temper over something that hadn't previously angered me, and they'd say, I don't have enough space for this. Then I would know that my presence was no longer a given, and it was all my fault. It wasn't fair to pretend I was something other than who I really was, to keep shape-shifting like some sort of Barber Papa. I'm either too much or too little. I'm terrible at dispensing the right dose of myself. On Sundays, my brother and I would watch the contestants on the Dutch version of Survivor as they attempted to survive on a desert island, doing their best to outperform the others by winning challenges and voting against each other. At first, we watched every episode of every season together, and later, after a few years, we watched them apart. When my brother ended his own life on May 6, 2016, we were 35 years old and had watched 15 seasons of Survivor. By then, only celebrities appeared on the show. The wide-legged stance of the new presenter annoyed me, and it took me a while to understand that she had probably only assumed this strange posture in order to appear shorter than the man standing next to her. If secret alliances between contestants came to light during the first season, great indignation would ensue, also from our side. We believed honesty was the best strategy for survival. However, once we understood how quickly you were out of the game if you refused to lie, we abandoned our principles. That's the game, we would say, shrugging our shoulders whenever a headstrong candidate got voted off the island. We didn't make the rules. In those days, long before I'd met Leo, we used to discuss our future as if it were a joint project we had yet to begin. I wanted a partner who wasn't competitive and found my presence in his life enriching. My brother laughed loudly at the word enriching. He was hoping for a man with soft hands and an aversion to conflict. They would live in a house on the water. I imagined a small lake with a jetty for him and a shore lined with pine trees in which the man with the soft hands would hang string lights in the winter. And I also wished for snow, thick sheepskin rugs and cable sweaters. I wanted that lake to be in New Hampshire. I just read a book by John Irving. And that house would be a lake house we'd share, my brother and I, along with his conflict-averse man and my non-competitive partner. When we weren't in New York, that's where we'd be. Usually, we got stuck at this point in the conversation because my brother would say he liked pine needles well enough, but when he referred to water, he actually meant a sea with seahorses in it. And did I know that male seahorses incubated their babies? I quickly understood exactly how seahorses reproduced, but I still didn't understand what my brother wanted out of life. And that's the end of the reading. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you to Jill for having us. If you'd like to read more or a longer excerpt of What I'd Rather Not Think About, please visit the website of the Dutch Foundation for Literature. Thanks again.